think you do. I think it was just God saying.
Do you know what we could do? We could almost pretend it didn't happen. Let's start over. There we go.
Boom. Hi, I'm Russ Kane in South London, and that's Phil Dave, the complete twerp in Hertfordshire, where hurricanes hardly happen.
This is very true.
Got it right. Try fingers like bananas. Now,
well, you say that.
I do say that. Oh, first out the gate. Eve Phantom, crazy name, crazy gal. In your own time, Phil.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, man! Right, look,
absolutely the worst. Just hopeless.
Fine.
Too late now. Chrissy Holt, hi boys. Ed,
never.
No, that's not true. That is so not true. Paul Andrews, hello there. Angela Lee, good morning. And Ed Grossman, goof afternoon all. Probably meant good afternoon all. Bit of a special show today. So I want to crack on. Now, let me give you some background to this. Last week on Facebook, a former guest of ours, Phil and myself on Men's Radio, we had him in the studio before lockdown and everything like that. He lives in Australia. His name is Nick Jordan. And Nick posted, I'm not going to beat around the bush here, a suicide note on Facebook. And I and hundreds of other people piled in and said, don't you dare. Don't. Nothing is ever that terrible, that bad, unsolvable, so despairing. You need to do that. There's a lot of people are out there who care for you. Please don't do it. And I mentioned this on my Facebook page. The thing went mad. I think something like 500 messages I received that day alone, 500. And then to everyone's great relief, the very next day, Nick Jordan from Australia said, yeah, I'm still here. And everyone went, phew, thank goodness for that. And I reached out to Nick and I said, I would like you to come on to The Daily Show. And we'll make an exception because normally during the weekdays, Phil and I arse around a little bit. And then Fridays, we get heavy duty. But today, I wanted an exception. So get your questions ready. All your questions down there. Steve Saragosi, hi from Brisbane. Paul Claridge, hopefully not up a ladder. And Sue Sleet from Fife. Hi, guys, and hi to you. So without further ado...
well, there is a little further to do because I'm guessing you haven't checked the message that I've just sent you.
I haven't, no, because I don't know what's happened. What's happened now?
So we're waiting for Nick to rejoin us. I'm afraid the signal from Australia apparently has been a little bit harsh on us. So he's. I
don't have a message from you.
Oh, on Facebook Live, Facebook Messenger, but don't worry about it. We will get him back in just a moment. But Finn is joining.
Okay. Oh, good. Then we got some time to ask around. So the questions really. The questions really that this is your opportunity. This is someone who last week was in such despair, he posts a suicide note, and then he comes through the other side. Phil and I talked to him very briefly, me only for a few seconds, Phil for a couple of minutes just to sort out the tech. Well done. And he looks okay-ish.
What's funny? It's like somehow as if that's my fault that his internet connection's not great. I don't know.
It's entirely your fault. You're in charge of Australia. You are the Judith Chalmers of Hertfordshire, quite honestly. Hi. Oh, my goodness. Sarah Keast. Hi from the Sunshine Coast in Australia. I can only balance Sarah Keast's lovely message from Ken Elm Janua, the Pliar, who's saying it's bucketing down in Hertfordshire. Mate, it's bucketing down in South London. It is coming down like in stair rods out there. So no gardening on my terrace today. Don't have to go out there with the hose and patiently water for at least an hour there. But it's meant to be better tomorrow. I hope so, because I've got stuff to do tomorrow, which is outside. Ooh. No update from... No, nothing?
Well, oh no, you'll be the first to hear. So
all right.
We're trying to get him back. So don't you...
Okay. All right. I really hope he comes back because it's important. Blue internet. See, I don't know where he is physically. I don't know if he's got a home. I don't know, because some of the time he was living. I'm not making this up. I remember from the last time we interviewed him before this hoo-ha, he was living under a bridge He was actually living under a bridge. It's everybody's nightmare. Lovely message from Southwark Council. Make your own face covering. Jesus. Sue Sleet. The sun is out in Fife. So Sue Sleet, for Nick. Oh, for Nick, what made you stop? That's Chrissy Holt's first question. Good. So take your lead from Chrissy Holt who's watching and listening to us in Spain, in rural Spain. Her long-suffering other half, Mike, and a tractor. I wish I was making it up. Let's go from Spain to Cardiff in Wales. Oh, this is like Eurovision, isn't it? Are you there, Wales? Can we have your votes, please? Hugh Lester saying it's bucketing down in Cardiff. It's always raining in Wales. Wales is always always raining. Phil's concentrating. I can see that's his concentrating face. It's either there or he's constipated. It's one of the two. What was that? Was that a good message? Was that a bad message? Please tell me it's a good message.
No, that was me connecting with the guest, trying to persuade him to get back online. So he's just about to join us again. So don't you worry.
I'm not worried. By the way, before it all gets hot and heavy, I spent the best $5 I've ever spent last night. There is a brilliant impressionist, just before it all gets heavy, but I just want to lighten the mood for a sec, who's become a pal of mine. I was a huge fan of his, never thought I'd meet him. Then I hung out a little bit with him at the Edinburgh Fringe when I did my show up there. He's just Lewis MacLeod is his name. His name is Lewis MacLeod. He is the best impressionist I have ever heard. He's genius. And I saw on Twitter yesterday a thing that of a psychic, and he's created this character who's a psychic with long blonde hair and 8 million rings and everything else. And it was a $5 to watch the show. And I thought, oh, sod it. Had a long day. So I did it and watched it on the Tinternet. Oh man, it was hilarious. It was brilliant. If it ever comes up again, look up Lewis MacLeod. It's Lewis. Lewis MacLeod. Say that I suggested you watch. Absolutely terrific. Paul Claridge, it's raining in Croydon. Soggy newspapers for everyone. Yeah, Paul, what do you do when you're handing out your newspapers? Paul never stops working. And fingers crossed, Paul, you know what I'm talking about. Do the papers actually get really wet? Or do people just take them and put them over their heads, because they've forgotten their brollies and stuff like that? That's so Croydon, isn't it? Be honest with you, Croydon's not like picking my pops to live. Glassy Amanda. So happy Nick is here. He's an amazingly brave man and looking forward to hearing him talk this morning. So are we, technology willing, Amanda. And, we got Sarah Keast, 9 p.m. there, and the kangaroos are bouncing around outside. Now, I've no idea if that's true or not. You could be living in some fabulous urban area like we see on the TV, or you could be like Crocodile Dundee land, and there really are kangaroos bouncing around. Well, I'd love a picture. That would be great. Where are we, Philip?
Okay, we have decided that we're not going to bother with the video link because it's clearly not going to work for us. So instead, I'm delighted to say that joining us on the line now, Nick, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we're sorry about that.
Hello,
what's extraordinary is that when we spoke to you before, we did all of the technical tests before we went live, and it was all working beautifully. And then suddenly those gremlins, those nasty little technical gremlins.
I know. I to be honest, I blame Australia.
Well, quite.
They're,
if in doubt, blame Australia.
They're honestly, I love Australia. I've got nothing bad to say about it, but they are 10 years behind us in terms of the UK, in terms of their tech pickup. So hey, well, good. We're speaking now.
We are.
Nick, we can't be rude about Australia because via Glasgow they gave us AC/DC. Can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. Gave us Olivia Newton-John. Can't argue with that. So, love Australia for that. Now, Nick, let's cut to the chase. I think I'm speaking on behalf of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Thank goodness you're here.
Yeah, well, look, yeah, well, sure, let's cut to the chase. So about 10 days ago, I made a suicide bid on, and I put it on Facebook, You know, I'm very grateful I did, and some friends of mine, including yourself, Russ. I don't know you as a friend, but
we don't know each other personally. Let's make that straight.
No, we don't know each other personally. But you reached out, and someone called the police on me, and you know, I woke up to find the police shining a torch in my face, and you know, I tried to kill myself, I suppose. And
let me ask you a question straight away, Nick. And I'm not going to pull any punches today, if you don't mind, because your story is so important. When somebody called the police, which is exactly what I would have done if I'd have known what to do for Australia, but I'm in London, so it's a little bit far. You posted that you seemed really cross about that, whereas they were, in my opinion, it's just an opinion, they were trying to be really helpful because they were worried. But you seemed cross. Why was that?
Well, I was really cross, you know, because I wanted it to end, you know, and so when a person calls, you know, when a person calls for help, you know, what they're trying to do is stop you from doing the thing that you want to do, you know, and that is that is major. I mean, on the one hand, let me say this: that the person who made the call, and a few people did actually, but one of them did in particular, and made the first call, is it's an act of great compassion and love. You know, they're just trying to stop you. But the reason I got cross is because I wanted to, you know, I wanted to die.
Do you, Nick, still feel like that now? As we're speaking to you right here, right now, do you still feel like that?
No, not at all. And you know, I've been to hospital. I've been to. I've seen friends, and you know, again, you know, it's obviously you can probably hear it in my voice. It's obviously a very difficult situation, but no, I don't. No, I don't. It's a good question, and when a person reaches out to you, just so they don't. And I'll say this: the person that made the call, you know, was someone I don't know that well. You know, I don't know that well, but she knew that it's serious because, you know. And I want to say this to anyone who's feeling suicidal right now is people do care.
Yes, they do.
People really,
they do care. Nick, can I ask you this? And it's slightly insensitive, but I really do want to go there.
No, go ahead.
You must have known, had you written a suicide note on a piece of paper from Woolworths or W.H. Smith, you probably would not be speaking to us now. You went onto Facebook, the most public of media that one can imagine, and you must have known right at the back of your mind, in all of your despair, that people were going to reach out. Or were you genuinely saying goodbye and you were surprised at the reaction?
No. I hear what you're saying. I think it's. I mean, I think this is the great power of social media. Actually, I mean, it has many weaknesses, as we know, but you know, it's a cry for help. You know, it's an absolute cry for help. It's a sense of knowing that there is an audience. You know. That there are people that might help you, for instance, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't anything wrong with it. But what's curious is that you say it's a cry for help, and yet on the other hand, you were quite annoyed that someone stopped you from doing what you wanted to do. So no. I promise you, I'm not having a go. I'm just sort of trying to recognize the emotions and the conflicting emotions that you must have been tussling with at that point in time.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing is that you are is that you're tussling. Yeah, you've nailed it, right? You know, right. You're tussling with emotions, you know, and on the one hand, I don't know how to say this, but on the one hand, you want to go. Yep. On the one hand, you definitely want to go. On the other hand, you definitely want to stay. You know, and but I know. I mean, I'm sure we all know people, right, who sadly have committed suicide, and and also those who have survived that situation. But it, oh mate, you know, I mean, it really is a sort of a dice situation. I don't know how to explain it. It's a toss of the dice. You know, you want to go, you don't want to go. You know, and yeah. Well, that's exactly
Nick, can we wind back just a little bit, because your story is so important, and I want to reiterate something to you. Although we don't know each other personally, but we've spoken before. But I want to reiterate to you that there was such an outpouring of relief of people like myself who don't know you personally, and all over social media who don't know you personally, but felt the pain and are really saying to themselves, there but for the grace of God, you know, go I. Let's wind back a fraction, Nick. Why had things got to such a bad crisis point that you wanted to end it?
Okay. Well, I mean, I can certainly explain that. You know, I mean, there's certain things I can't say because it involves kids and family. And, you know, yeah, sure. But it was a sort of a confluence of family events, I suppose.
Speaking of family, Nick, what have your family said out of interest since this has happened?
Oh, my family have been wonderful. I mean, I love my family with all my heart, and they have been just wonderfully supportive. You know,
Good.
they've been wonderfully supportive. Yeah, no. But what I would say in answer to your question is there comes a point in your life where you just feel totally hopeless, and no one loves you, and that you know, no one cares, and that this is the only option. And I want to say to anyone who's listening right now that this is wrong. This is wrong. You know, because people are listening, people do care, and people do want to help you, but it just does not seem like that. At that time, you know, it seems like you are. It seems like you are. You know, nobody. It's very hard to explain. It's very hard to explain. But yeah, you know, I mean,
were you heartened when you know, you just answered Phil's excellent point about how were the family, and the family have obviously been terrific to you. Has that in some way helped, and has that in some way made you rethink that they do really love you, that it's not that bleak and dark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. I mean, I suppose what I found is that, you know, as I mentioned earlier, is you know, hundreds and hundreds of you know, outpourings of love and support, but you know, including my family. But but you know, I want to say this. I mean, even if you don't have that family, even if you don't have, I don't know, you know, a wife or a sister or brother or whatever, that people will help you. You know, people will help you, because you do actually matter, and
yes.
I think it's super important. It's one of the reasons I'm passionate about what you guys do and everything like that, is because, you know, and then people like the Samaritans and Lifeline and what have you, is someone cares, someone does care, because you know, you're not. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional, but
It's okay.
You're not allowed to
Take
do
your
this.
time.
You're not allowed to do this. You do matter, and your life matters. You know, we all know. I mean, I don't care about for instance, I don't care about religious beliefs, for instance. You know, I mean, I do, but I don't. But what I'm saying is this: we all have one life to live, and please live it. You know, please reach out. You know, because your life is important. Your life matters. And you know, well, I mean, I don't know how else to express it. You
say you don't know how else to express it. I think you're doing an amazing job personally for someone who tried to do what you did as recently as 10 days ago. And on that very subject, by the way, about reaching out, if you are listening to this now and you are feeling in any way suicidal, or in any way that you feel like you don't want life to go on, please just take a note of the numbers that are on screen right now. Samaritans here in the UK is 116 123. That's 116 123. You can call or text that number. And in Australia, the Samaritans, if you are listening in Australia or watching this in Australia, the Samaritans in Australia is 135 247. That's 135 247. Please make a note of those numbers.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do not, no matter what happens, get to a point where you don't want to carry on anymore. Not worth it.
It's not. Now, what are you doing, Nick? On a,
go on.
I was going to ask this. On a daily basis now, have you tried to readjust your life? You know, you wake up and you think, right, this is what I'm going to do today. Have you been able to do that since this crisis?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I think what we do. I mean, those of us who suffer from depression and addiction, I think what we do is we get up and we win small victories, you know, and honestly, it may be. It may be as simple as having a shower. It may be as simple as I don't know, making your bed or tidying your room, or that kind of stuff. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, and
because it's an achievement. It's an achievement.
Yeah, it's a massive achievement, you know, and. I think honestly, you know, I've struggled sometimes with having a shower, you know, personal hygiene. So, you know.
Is that because it seems like too arduous? I'm being serious, and I thank God I've never been in that position. But is that because, let's just say having a shower, is that because you think, I can't be bothered, or it just seems too much of a big thing to do? Can you help us with that?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does. It just seems like too much. It just seems like too much sometimes, you know. And it's not. It's not because you're lazy or you're stupid or you're dirty or any of that. But excuse me, bull stuff. You know. I mean, you probably hate yourself a little bit, and I hate to say it, but you know, if you can get in the shower, if you can, I don't know, tidy your bookshelf, if you know, this kind of stuff, I think I think that will help you. And we have a phrase, you know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, which I think is applicable to all of us in depression, and that's we live our life beyond our wildest dreams, and what we mean by that is not that we I don't know, live some fantasy life with you know, Lamborghinis and swimming pools and whatever. What we do is we simply live, you know, on a day-to-day basis, on a clean, happy, loving, simple basis. You know, that is a life beyond our wildest dreams. Because I think that we I think that we underestimate what a life beyond our wildest dreams might be. You know, we all dream of bullshit, you know, stuff. But actually, a life beyond our wildest dreams is a simple life of happiness.
It is. And, it is. I couldn't agree with you. I could not agree with you more. Somebody asked me yesterday, "How are you?" And I say. And they said, "How are you doing?" I said, "Well, I take each hour as it comes. And that's how I go through life."
Yes.
You know, I have certain aspirations, but I take each day as it comes.
Of course you do. Yeah, of course you do.
A lot of people don't, you know. A lot of people don't, Nick.
No.
Now, do you know somebody called Sarah Keith?
There's a couple of messages that come in here, and Sarah has, by the way, messaged suggesting as well that other than Samaritans, also in Australia, I'm assuming this is an organisation called Lifeline, and their number is 131114.
Yeah.
So I don't want to confuse people. I've left the Samaritans number up on screen, but Lifeline as well, if you would rather speak to them, is 131114. One way or another, it's all the same.
It is. Lifeline, a brilliant organisation, and you know, if any Australians are listening, then I encourage it. I also want to sort of mention my own website, which is called deepsober.com, which has a lot of resources for British and Australian people. But you know, we none of us deserve this. None of us deserve this.
No, you don't. You don't deserve it, Nick. You don't. Now, do you know somebody called Sarah Keast? Is that a friend of yours, or just somebody listening in from Australia?
Yes.
You do. Well, she said some very interesting things. I'm gonna read them out, Nick, if I may. When you're in the middle of a downswing, a shower is the hardest thing to do. And then she went on to add, even breathing is hard work. It's exhausting. And now she's ended. The last comment is really great. Lifeline are amazing. They talked me out of an attempt. Wow, that's showing that they're doing it, that they're effective. And Sarah, I don't know you, but on behalf of everybody at Men's Radio, I can assure you we are delighted you are with us. So much better than not being with us, you know.
Well, I know Sarah personally, and I met her and her wonderful boyfriend Ben just a few weeks ago, and she you know, she's a true survivor of these issues, and you know, look, I mean, one thing I would say, something I want to say is, you know, with regard to my own situation is, deepsober.com is get in touch with me. Get in touch with me. We will help you. I mean, we're not professionals, we're not counselors or anything like that, but we will support you. We will refer you to the right people, for instance.
But I think also one of the other things that's quite, Nick, I think one of the other things that's quite good about you offering for people to get in contact with you is that there's potential there for you to support the person who's contacted you, but also potentially them to support you as well. Because through
totally.
Yeah, totally. I mean, through this program, you have very kindly demonstrated that we are all incredibly vulnerable and susceptible to all sorts of emotions, and heaven only knows where it can take us and what it might make us think of doing. The point is that by you talking out about this like this, never underestimate how that could help just one other person.
Well, thank you, Phil. Thank you for saying that. I mean, what I think, for instance, you wouldn't find an AA sponsor in the world who wouldn't agree with what you've just said. But when we help you, it helps us, and that's not to say a selfish thing. It's simply that we are all in this together.
It's not in the least bit selfish. It's essential, Nick. It's not selfish. It's essential, because how can you possibly relate to someone who doesn't know what you're going through? That's just, it's not feasible to relate to somebody who doesn't know what it is that you're going through.
Brother, I hear you. Yeah, no, I totally hear you.
I'm going to read some of the comments out.
And that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And that's why that's one of the reasons I plug my web. We'll talk to you. We'll help you.
And it's a two-way street, Nick. It's a two-way street.
Can I just say this? Sorry?
I'm saying it's a two-way street. They get hold of you, and then you can have the conversation with them. And I think you can really help.
Yeah, totally. And I want people to get in touch. I want to help them because helping them helps me. So don't feel for a moment that it's selfish. It's not. And that's one of the reasons that this conversation we're having today is so valuable. And I just want to say thank you both.
Please, it's us.
You don't need to thank us. Thank you. Let me read some of the comments that are coming in. This is from Simon Buckman. Please, this is aimed at you, Nick. Please try not to let yourself get isolated, Nick. You said your family have been supportive. That's so good. You'll get there. And in not a very long time, you'll look back on this period and be thankful it didn't work. Big virtual hug from here to you. Paul Andrews has said it's so important when you're spiraling down to break down the big boulders of life into little stones. Just tackle the stones carefully and slowly. I could not agree with you more, Paul. And Glassy Amanda says the following. As a therapist, one more comment. As a therapist, I think peer-to-peer support is just as important as therapeutic support. So that's from a professional. So, you're doing all the right things there. You're doing all the right things.
Actually, you know what, Nick? There's one more comment here as well, just to get back to the power of social media. Paul Claridge, who's one of our regular commenters and interactors on this show, has said that social media can be a great tool when it comes to things like this, because obviously we all know social media gets an awful lot of stick, but it is quite good to think that actually it can help in other ways, because he says that earlier this year, a friend of his threatened suicide, and he said that a group of them used Facebook Messenger to communicate and immediately put in place an intervention plan and made arrangements to make sure that at least one of them was with their friend at all times for as long as he needed. How amazing is that? He says that they also arranged professional help that was needed. It's importantly, they got him talking. Now he's okay and is making progress with counseling. Conversely, he's a great friend to him, to Paul, and he also says others do. He's always so supportive to others. So doesn't it go to show how Facebook and other social media can be to good use sometimes?
Well, totally. I mean, totally. And you know, I would encourage my friends, you know, my brothers and sisters in depression and addiction to reach out into social media, to reach out to yourselves. I think you do a great job, and you know, yes, and to reach out to me as well. Yeah. So,
are you back in a home? Are you back home now, Nick? You know, you got a roof over your head and everything?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I you know, my landlady understands. I mean, it's been a tough few days.
Yeah, of course it has.
That's pretty mildly. Good gracious. No, I was just saying, I think that's putting it mildly. Good grief. I mean, tough few days, and you've survived what, frankly, many wouldn't. So, for that alone, well done.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What's the time there in Australia, by the way? I get very confused. What time is it? Sometime in the evening now?
Just time in Australia. It's about 10 o'clock at night, I suppose.
Yeah, okay. I make it about 10:30, 11:30 where you are.
Yeah. Listen, can you make this available on podcast or?
Oh, don't you worry.
Absolutely.
Put it on my. Yeah.
Don't you worry, Nick. This will be indefinitely available to anyone who wants to listen again to this. Don't you worry.
And what I'll do as well, Nick, is we will speak to our behind-the-scenes production team, and we'll get the link so you can put it straight up on deepsober.com. Okay, in from Larry Viner. The hardest thing for people suffering with acute depression is to tell friends and family how they are feeling. For most of us, an anonymous, non-judgmental, friendly voice on the end of a phone is easier and less threatening. But I recommend talking to someone who has some kind of training in dealing with these issues. As a former Samaritan, I was taught that you never advise and that the best thing initially is listening. But on the other hand, whatever gets you through the night.
Well,
you're not wrong.
I mean, that's it for me. I mean, one thing I would say is, you know, if people are struggling right now and they're listening to this, message me. You know, message me on deepsober.com. It's fine. But I'm not a professional counsellor, and I will refer you to the Samaritans or Lifeline or whoever. But it's a fundamental truth that we cannot do it alone, and I think this is so important in this time of COVID, you know, where everyone is struggling a little bit with social isolation. It is our birthright to be close to one another.
Nick, can I ask? You know how you
for us not.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I was just going to say, carry on. Sorry, do carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, well, for us not to be able to be close to one another is heartbreaking. You know,
it is.
It's heartbreaking.
I hate it.
It's
I hate this.
It's socially devastating.
Oh yeah. The effects of this, which we're not going to go into now, we've dealt with ad nauseam, but the effects of this are just horrendous, and we'll talk about it another time. Ken Elm, I'm reading your comments. I'm not ignoring them. I just don't want to bring them into this show.
And don't think it's not where we're going with this, Ken Elm. Don't be offended, honestly.
I am reading them. I'm very happy to discuss this. Let's discuss it maybe on Friday. I don't want to do it today, and I'm sure Nick, you understand why.
I need to ask you what might sound a very silly question, but it's actually, I think, could be quite helpful, because a couple of times throughout this, you have mentioned about when you have that feeling of not being loved or a lack of love in life, and that's what can drive you to something like this. What does love look like to you? What is love to you?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. I think love is I think love is a serious personal affection. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be sexual love or personal love or anything like that. But it just has to be a serious attempt at human connection. That's what we all need, right, Phil? That's what we all need, right?
No,
we all need a serious attempt at personal affection, and that's what I need. That's I can't speak for you, but that's probably what you need, and it's probably what we all need. And I think that's what love. I think that's what love means.
I think you're right.
For me, it's actually it's even simpler than that. It is knowing that somebody has got your back no matter what. Yeah. It really is as simple as that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, I think.
Well, you know what, Nick? If you can trust one person, you're lucky. That's it. You need to be able to trust somebody absolutely implicitly with anything, and if you can trust that even one person in your life, you're ahead of the game. We've got Rosemary Jessup. I've just come in and hearing the show. People can get help. There is someone who will listen. You are not alone. However, think of those of us left behind as it's a life sentence. So many of our listeners, Nick, have had horrible experiences where a loved one has taken their own life. For them, it's over. And for the family and for the friends, that is a lifetime of pain. Chrissy Holt from Spain. You see, this is what opens up. My daughter needs professional help, but doesn't see it. How can you make her get help? Well,
there are two really important things to come out of those comments. Really important things. The first one being is those who are left behind, and secondly, those who don't realize they need help. What do you say to that, Nick? First and foremost, what do you think of those who would be left behind? Because do you realize that there would be pain?
If you're going to be left behind, that there is going to be. There's no soft way to say this, right? But you're going to have profound personal pain. There's no soft way to say it, right? What I do think is this, though, and I think this is really important, is that so many of us are probably feeling this right now. I can't go into the reasons now, but we all feel that, and this is why one of the reasons I sort of hesitate to use the word hate, but I hate the division and the divisiveness that we hear on social media about what's happening with the coronavirus. We are genuinely all in this together, and we are all feeling this pain, be it missing loved ones, be it as you've just expressed here, death. And, I want us to get over the social media. I want us to get over the social media thing, and I want us to feel that personal companionship and love. We all deserve this, right? We all deserve it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
no, what we deserve, Nick, is not to be castigated and trolled if our opinion doesn't agree with somebody else's opinion, because this is too often the way of social media. Like, oh, you're right, you're great, oh, you don't agree with me, no, I hate you. But this is ridiculous. It's not a grown-up way to go through life. It's ridiculously negative.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculously negative, and I think Russ and I, we've agreed with this on social media before, but it just, please come together. we can all agree that this government or that government have not done very well, or but let's come together. Let's come together as friends and humans, and pull together. It's a genuinely global. It's a pandemic.
It is, and and that's it, Nick. What part of the word pandemic are people not understanding? It means it's global. It's absolutely freaking everywhere. The only place it's not at the moment is on the moon or the International Space Station.
There are people who don't understand what the term pandemic means, because it always amuses me when some people call it a global pandemic as opposed to a local pandemic. Really?
That's the one in your shop. Let me read some more points, Nick. I'd like you to listen to these points, if you would. Nick, listen to these points. Because Chrissy Holt was saying, her daughter needs help. What can she do? She went to. So Glassy Amanda, who is a therapist, says to Chrissy, you can't make anyone get help, but maybe a close friend of hers can gently encourage it, so it's not always coming from you. That's a good point. Maybe others will know of therapists that they can use from their personal experience or from others. And Rosemary Jessup, this is heartbreaking. And Nick, this will resonate with you. You, because Rosemary Jessup suffered a horrible loss, you have no idea of the pain and the anger. It doesn't go away, and there's always something that triggers off memories. I can certainly relate to that. Isn't that true? Sarah Keast says, sometimes I... Oh, no, Sarah, no, we don't want this. You see, this is where you're wrong. I know that's how you're feeling, but honestly, it's not how people feel. Sometimes I felt it would be easier on everyone if I was out of the picture, stop everyone from worrying about me. I counteract that immediately. Sarah, I know you're in Australia and you're listening now in Australia. From Rosemary Jessup's tangible, visceral pain. I'll read it again. You have no idea of the pain and anger. It doesn't go away, and there's always something that triggers it off.
And you know what, Sarah? If someone is worrying about you, then someone loves you. It's as simple as that. And if the way I look at that is that as soon as someone stops worrying about you, the emotion of worry may stop, but the emotion of hurt and anger and, as Rosemary says, just pain just doesn't go away.
As Rosemary says again, I'm going to add to this. Families and friends blame themselves. What can we have done? What didn't we do? It's horrendous. I mean, and that's a lifetime sentence of pain. There's no ifs or buts. It's a lifetime sentence of Now, Nick, here's an old friend of yours, Steve Guy. Do you remember Steve Guy?
Oh, yeah. He's one of my best friends, yeah.
Okay, he said, I spent several enjoyable years working with Nick in Cambridge before he moved to Australia and consider him a dear friend. Whilst not at all surprised by his IT issues at the start of the show, I can confirm he is a lovely man and a devoted father to his son. He has many friends who love and support him. He just needs to try and remember that. Does that resonate with you, Nick?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I find that. Yes, of course, I find that difficult to respond to, without being emotional. But yes, of course, yes.
Well, just remember,
Steve is a lovely guy, and
just Nick. When all else fails, when anything but despair takes you, just remember. He says, "I can confirm." I'm going to read it again because I think what wonderful wording. I can confirm he is a lovely man and a devoted father to his son. He has many friends who love and support him. He just needs to remember that. Please.
Here's Julia Hersey.
Thank you.
Julia. I'm going to let you take some deep breaths, Nick. Just relax for a sec. Julia Hersey. I was living with someone whose father took his own life under a train. Jesus. Age 65. Horrendous and macabre. The intense anger after that bubbled up periodically within him, frighteningly so. Not good at all, because human nature is such, and I'm not speaking as a therapist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person doing their best to get through life, right? As everybody is. But human nature is such, when such a nightmare scenario unfolds, we blame ourselves. And as Rosemary Jessup so rightly says, what could we have done? we have said? What could we have physically?
Well, that's the thing. I think. Russ, I think we do blame ourselves, and that's something I want to say to people who are feeling suicidal. Is that we blame ourselves, but we are not to we are not to blame. It is a horrible confluence of events that brings us to a point of suicide ideation of some kind, and
Yes.
We're not to blame. We're not to blame.
The thing about it is, it's not. Let's lose the word, Nick. Let's lose the word blame, because blame never helps. But sadly, we live in this blame culture. Something is always somebody else's fault. It's crap. It's not.
We do.
It's not always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
So that is something I will not subscribe to. But it's just a horrible, miserable lose-lose situation. And for the person who takes their own life, all I can say is that despair and feeling, God help any of us who get into that situation, But for them, it's over. But for the family, that pain, it's a lifetime sentence. It's never going to go away. And it's horrible. So many of you are coming out here, with the pain and the anger and the depression in yourself that it will cause, because you will beat yourself up and you will say, I could have done. The answer is no. The answer is no. And, somebody is determined.
I know. I know. That's the only thing that kept me personally sane is the thought of my son, who's 8, and he would be brought up with suicide ideation, drug addiction, alcoholism, depression, whatever it is a kid does, I think that's a message I want to send to people who are listening to this, who may be suicidal now, is the devastation that it offers to your family is unending. It doesn't stop. It will continue throughout.
You've got, the point is what you've done, Nick, which is inspirational, and please don't belittle it. Don't belittle it. That you have shown that you were right on the edge and you pulled yourself back. Whether it was what happened on social media and people saying, please don't do that, and you thought, well, all right, maybe I won't. That's irrelevant. What is the most salient point here is that you could have done it and you didn't. And you can build from that. You can build your life back again and be the loving dad that clearly everybody who knows you personally knows that you are. And that is what you should always carry in your mind and in your heart. That's the most important thing. The little guy needs you. End of story. The little guy needs you. And and his world will be so much brighter with you in it than with you not in it. And it's as simple as that. It doesn't. You can dress this up with all the psychology and the psychoanalysis you like, but when it comes down to the wire, the little guy wants his dad. That's it. That's what you got to bear in mind, I think.
Yep.
Nick, you don't have to go into details if you don't want to, but have you spoken to your son since?
Well, no. First of all, thank you, Russ, for what you just said. I treasure it and I believe it. Phil, look, I have an agreement with his mum, so I'll speak to him at the week. I'll speak to him in the weekend.
Okay, don't worry. You don't need to go into detail.
He knows his dad's in trouble. But
okay.
And I'm always honest. I'm always honest with him, and he'll speak to me when we're ready. Of course. And but Russ, look, what you just said is it's hugely important, and you know, that's a hugely important message for all fathers who are feeling the same way that I have felt. So.
There's a lot of emotion coming up on all the how are we doing for time? All right. You know, Sarah Keast, again, live from Australia, having depression or any other mental health issue is exhausting. People forget that. It is absolutely exhausting. It just takes everything from you. There's no way to express the battle between the logical brain thinking about everything we're talking about here and the spiraling thoughts that take you down to the darkest depths of hell. You know, even in my book, when I described hell, it really, I think hell is life. That's what it is. I think, in all honesty, if you're not careful, that's the truth. Chrissy Holt, that's a horribly sad story. My God. She's just saying, I'm not going to read the rest of it. It's so sad. I'm glad Nick has been saved and he must keep on. And I'll tell you what, and Julia Hersey, and I know Julia is expressing hundreds and hundreds of people around the world listening to you, Nick Jordan. They're saying, brave man for talking on radio. You know, you're obviously struggling, but it's very brave of you. And I really, and Phil and I really appreciate it. And all the team at Men's Radio appreciate it.
Nick, there's one thing that's super important that we have to get in before we run out of time. And this is important because there'll be some who will be watching this who may be worrying about others. Chrissy has said that she was worried about her daughter because she thinks that she needs help but doesn't see it. What are the signs that people should be looking out for, do you think? Is there anything that you do that maybe could be described as a subtle cry for help that people should be looking out for? And if they do spot them, what should they do?
Yeah, totally. I mean, one thing, I think if anyone mentions a really good question, and thank you thank you for asking. I think if people are, if people mention the word suicide, or if they seem concerned about suicide, you must take them seriously. You must take them seriously. That's it. You know, it's as subtle and as sort of meaningful as that. You know, if someone says that they're feeling suicidal or they have thoughts of ending their own life, you must take that incredibly seriously, and you must help them. You must report them.
Can I just add to that, Nick? Can I just add to that?
Yeah, and you're not betraying them. You're not. Sorry to interrupt you. You're not. Get them to the doctor. Get them to the police. Get them to the ambulance. Whatever it is. I don't care what country you're in or where you are. If someone says that they're feeling a bit suicidal or they have thoughts of ending their life, you must take that 100% seriously.
Martin Bell's just added mood changes, silence when normally chatty. I just want to say one thing, all right? For all the people who have, I'm a very cynical person. Everyone who knows that, I just am. But please, don't say, oh, it's just attention seeking. Please don't that. Because even if it is, so what? Reach out and help. Reach out and help, please.
I cannot believe that we've run out of time, but I think that there's only one word. Or two words, technically, and that is thank you. Because
thank you so much.
I don't think you realize sort of what it is that you've done today, even if it's just help one other person, it was worth it. So thank you for talking to us, and thank you, above everything, for failing in your attempt to take your life, because we are so happy you're still here.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you both for your support. Thank you.
It's an honor and a pleasure.
It is. I agree with Phil. Please take care. Don't give us any more frights. I shall come over to Australia.
That's an order.
That's an order. I have spoken.
I think we need to end today very quickly by just saying Samaritans, UK 116123, Australia 135247. Please call if in any way you are feeling in the least bit suicidal. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just apparently what a lot of people do. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.